Alright, so that is the Go YGO, the YouTube channel dedicated exclusively to the best Yu-Gi-Oh format of all time, and that is Go format. And what better way to kick off the channel than just with a standard goat controlled deck profile. I want to show this deck largely because it is a pretty standard build. There are a few weird techs I have here and there, but one thing you're going to notice throughout this entire profile is this deck is all commons. There is only two cards in this entire deck not common, and that's going to be Delinquent Duo and Graceful Charity, which is technically a black rare because those are the only rarities you can get those cards in other than a super for Delinquent Duo. And the reason I bring that up is because literally this entire deck cost me about $60, and that was going through Troll and Toad, so you probably could use other sites, get it a little bit cheaper. So honestly, if you ever wanted to pick up goat format, you can do it card for card. Doesn't have to be this build. You can play Thunder Dragon Chaos, Warrior Toolbox. You can play something crazy like Burn. It costs like $50, $60 tops, and you can get playing right now. Super fun. It's really just the core fundamentals of card games. And if you've been playing Yu-Gi-Oh for more than like a year, then you're going to probably be pretty good at this format. It takes a little bit of practice. But if you have friends that want to get into Yu-Gi-Oh! And it just seems too daunting with things like links and all that, get them into GOAT format. You get to use a lot of the cards from the anime, like Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, Scapegoat, a lot of stuff they've probably seen in the anime, and you get to use a lot of fun ban cards, Premature Burial, Snatch Steal, Mirror Force, so on and so forth. But hey, without any further ado, let's get right into this. This is the build I've been running for about 2 years to pretty good amount of success. I was at one point, I kept track to kind of mark my progress. I was like 40 wins and 3 losses with this deck, but took a little break and I've gotten a lot rustier. I'm probably like 50% win rate since I've been back with it. But hey, that's not the deck's fault. That's my fault, obviously. So let's just get right into it. Probably the coolest card you can play, BLS right there. Breaker. You got DD Warrior Lady, Sangan, Tribe Infecting Virus. You got Sinister Serpent. And you can play 2 Aeronite Pasha, 2 Magician of Fate, 2 Tsukuyomi. And I kind of got some techs here. Spirit Reaper, Asura Priest, and Merchant. I don't really consider Asura Priest a tech. I think this card is absolutely required in GOAT control. Straight up wins games. If you go to my first video, which is kind of tough to watch because I didn't know quite what I was doing, me against my friend Joanne, he straight up wins the match with this card. Game 3, beats me down with it. There's nothing I can do. It's so hard to out in this deck without siding. So definitely play Asura Priest. Spirit Reaper, for 3 years I've played with the ruling that it has the effect, it's continuous effect that obviously destroys if it's targeted. The card has to fully resolve that targets it, and then it'll destroy itself. That could be wrong. If it is, let me know, because then I'll play another one of this card. I only play one because I consciously make this card worse by playing 2 Dust Tornado, but we'll kind of talk about that later. So yeah, that's the monsters. And as you can see, right away, you can play some cool stuff in here. If you're just not familiar with GOAT format, you can play some awesome cards. And also, you can play things like 3 Scapegoat and 3 Metamorphosis. This is a ratio I know a lot of people don't run. They usually like 2 Scapegoat or maybe 2 Meta. I think Metamorphosis is the best card in the format, largely because it just makes Thousand Eyes Restrict, which is, I mean, that card just blows out games. Like, if your deck doesn't have an out the Thousand Eyes, it's probably not a very good deck. And since I want to play 3 of this, might as well play 3 GOAT, which is pretty much the best defensive card in the format, so why not? And of course, there are other targets like Sinister Serpent, 2 Magician of Faith, and of course the Magical Merchant on top there. Technically, there's more than 7, because you do get things like Sinister Serpent can kind of do it forever, and Scapegoat sort of is more than 1 target, and it can kind of linger, but, that's a little much. But Pot of Greed, Graceful Charity, Delinquent Duo, Book of Moon, 2 of them, 2 Knock, Snatch Steal, Mystical Space Typhoon, Premature Burial, and Heavy Storm. So like I said, you can play a lot of cool cards in this format. And this is a very standard spell lineup. This format's very resource heavy. That's why everything is pretty much a one-of, because like all these cards are limited or banned now. But yeah, you get to play a lot of cool stuff there. And traps, you get to play Mirror Force, Torrential, Ring of Destruction, 2 Sack, Call the Haunted, and then like I said, I play 2 Dust Tornado. My meta around me is pretty much all GOAT control mirrors. I've learned that pretty much the more you travel, like if I were to travel like 50 miles over towards Detroit, because I live in Michigan, then it's going to be they're pretty much only playing Chaos for some reason, whereas on kind of the west side of Michigan, they're only playing GOAT control, and then kind of weird like Dimension Fusion OTK and like less standard decks. But 2 Dust Tornado in the mirror is really good. I like this card for being able to kind of open up game states, kind of make room for cards like Spirit Reaper to get through, things like Asura Priest to stay safe. If my Aeronite's already getting through with attacks, Dust Tornado can ensure it's getting through Sack, Mirror Force, Ring of Destruction, Torrential, at least in the end phase. And sometimes just hitting a Scapegoat in the end phase is actually huge, because then it makes really breaks a lot of their defense and can make cards like Metamorphosis pretty dead. For the extra deck, technically you are allowed an infinite extra deck, but I think I have like 10 cards here. Pretty much these are the only ones that matter, are the 3,000 eyes restrict. But then you kind of have just your Metamorphosis targets, which you can be pretty creative with. I've seen a lot of people just win and lose games from doing cool things in the extra deck, like obviously summon BLS, banish a monster, summon Gatling Dragon, kill the field, and then attack for 28. It's a cool play. But I really need to get a Dark Flare Dragon. Last Warrior from Another Planet gets reprinted in about 2 weeks. And then, yeah, from there we'll have a more or less complete extra deck. And of course, you also get to play these nice looking tokens up here. I really want to get a pair of the commons, but those are hard to find. So yeah, that is the standard Go Control deck profile. Stay tuned for some more. I really don't have a whole lot of the cards right now, but I'm working on getting more deck profiles in. Probably going to be a Thunder Dragon Chaos build sometime in the future, and then we're going to follow that up with probably something like Warrior Toolbox, because that's just one of my favorite archetypes of all time within the format. So yeah, stay tuned, and like I said, get yourself a Go format deck. $50. You can literally build 2 Go format decks for less than the cost of a Lightning Storm at this point in time, and you can just play with anybody, because then you'll just have 2 like I do, and you can play with anybody at any time, and it's always super fun, because this format is all about interaction, all about game knowledge, all about resource management. So much fun. Get yourself a GOAT deck and have a good one.